Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Slightly Warped Podcast. I'm Rick, joined as always by Big Show. How you doing, Show?
I'm doing good, sir. I'm doing
Good,
good.
good. Um, how was your weekend?
Wasn't too bad. Wasn't too bad at all.
I mean, other than the fact that you
Didn't
step
do a whole
outside,
lot.
you'll freeze your nuts off.
Well, especially the last couple of days.
Yeah, yeah. Heat wave coming. It's actually going to be in the 30s soon.
Yes. Tomorrow, I think. I might
Hey,
actually get a walk in tomorrow.
hey, there you go. I was thinking the same thing about running, but we'll see. I'm subject to get lazy at any time.
It's that time of year.
Now, today's topic for everybody that has looked at the thumbnail, obviously the darker side of Hollywood. We might crack a few jokes here and there just to let you know it is the Slightly Warped Podcast, and we do take everything with a sense of humor, no matter how serious we are about it. That's just how we are. Show.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
just gonna go over the finer points of a couple articles that I had checked out previously, and just a lot came to mind. The first thing is actors who have appeared uh, as other races in movies. 12 times where actors portrayed a person of color or put on black face, brown face, or yellow face for a role. And
Okay.
you know, I'm gonna get to some of these. I won't go through all of them. I don't know if you had a chance to look at the article.
I did, and I'm pulling it up as well so we can look at it together.
Okay, good. I want to start with the first one. Angelina Jolie played Marianne Pearl, the wife of the kidnapped journalist in A Mighty Heart. Um, if you had showed me this picture just of her in a role, I would have thought it was a whole
I
nother
w
actress.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought it was her. She doesn't look like herself.
Now, I mean, and this might be
L- Look, I'm not trying to be an asshole or anything. She's a very beautiful white woman, but she's a very attractive black woman.
there you go. Now, this might be the unpopular opinion, but it is acting, and I'll get into that. Uh, I see both sides of it. So before the evil emails and the texts and the comments start to flow, I see both sides of it. So let me get into it. I won't go through all these, but um, Emma Stone played a Chinese woman of Hawaiian descent in Aloha. I looked at both pictures. She looks white on both of them. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that one she doesn't look any different to me. I would if you asked me watching the movie if I thought she was other than what, because she even had blue eyes in that picture.
right. Now,
So
now, the
I
first one that
haven't
made
met.
me question things though is the third one. Jake Gyllenhaal. You ever see The Prince of Persia?
I have.
I saw it. It's a decent movie, and I
I
never once thought, oh my god, he's a white guy. Why is he playing that character? I never thought about that.
Nah, because he to me he looks more like a Jewish actor. So
Yeah.
if
So
same, I know it's not the same area, but I didn't take any offense to that.
now the thing is, the line where it says many have questioned why the role didn't go to an actor of Iranian descent. Just off the top of your head, do you know of an actor with Iranian descent?
When did that movie come out?
Probably in the late 90s, early 2000s, maybe. No, it would have to have been the 2000s.
I'd say probably not. I
Here's
mean,
my
I can't
thing.
think of one now, but then I couldn't
If
think of one either.
Yeah, if I had to find somebody online, I probably could. Would they have
Yeah,
been
most
popular
def.
around that time? Probably not. And
To
the
sell
thing
the
that Disney's thinking of when they made the movie is who can we get that's popular that can fill some seats that's a name. That's the first thing that these studios think of. They're not thinking
most
who can we piss off today. That's the furthest
yes,
thing from their mind because they're trying to make money.
they want to sell tickets.
Exactly. Butts and seats is the name of the game. Now, number four is where it gets dicey. Mickey Rooney played Mr. I can't even pronounce the name. Yunoshi. A Japanese Man in Breakfast at Tiffany's. I don't know if I ever saw this movie or anything like that, but judging from the side by side photos, I probably think that he probably overdid it. Don't know if he hammed it up or overacted, but
Oh yeah,
I'm
most
thinking that
definitely.
that was probably taking it a little too far.
And let's also look. I mean, I'm pretty sure that movie came out 50s, 60s era.
I'm thinking it was the 60s.
Six.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you also got to consider the time. Not saying it's right, but things that were quote unquote tolerated.
Yeah.
I still don't have a problem with that. With this guy playing that character.
The one that I really don't have a problem with is the fifth one. Anthony Hopkins, who played a black professor who passes as white. I mean, if you're playing a black person who passes as white, you could cast either way. You could cast a
Yeah,
really light skinned black person or a white person.
I agree.
So, you know, Anthony Hopkins, pretty big name. I mean, John Smith, not so much. So, again, I can kind of see what Hollywood is doing. Nowadays, I get it. Number six, this is one. This is a bad one too. Where Rooney Mara played Tiger Lily, a Native American character. There are literally dozens of Native American actors out there, and I think that Hollywood could have found someone to play this character. This is to me. I don't know too many things that she's in, so I might be stepping over the line here, but I don't think she's a big name actress. So you could have got away with anybody at this point.
Rooney Mara, no, I don't know who she is offhand.
Yeah, I now number seven was worse when Joseph Fiennes played
Yes.
Michael Jackson in a episode of Urban Myths. Never seen it, but if you just look at the side by side photo, they took it way too far, way too far. Um, this one was blatant and it was stupid and all of the above. This is everything that makes this article instead of breaks it. And then the total opposite was C. Thomas Howell in Soul Man. It's been a long time since I've seen that movie, but this movie was not offensive. It was, if it's anything, it's the opposite because you take it for comedy and that's it. That's the whole premise. He was trying to pass as a black person, so you cannot cast a black person to play somebody trying to play a black person.
Right.
I mean, and I am not one that gets offended at you know someone pretending to be something else because that is acting. One of the greatest examples when it came out, everybody praised it, and then the last 3 years, you hear people that are down on Robert Downey Jr. for his portrayal in Tropic Thunder. Was That's priceless comedy right there. He was a white man playing a black man playing a black man, or whatever that line was. I didn't have a problem with that. I still don't have a problem with that. That's still a damn good movie. And if you get it, you get it. And this is a prime example of too many people trying to be, and I use the word trying to be offended at something that's not offensive.
Yeah, but it's also our generation. We have thicker skin.
That is true. That is true. I didn't even bother to look at the last one. Sean Connery played James Bond undercover as a Japanese man. Isn't James Bond a secret agent? He's supposed to go undercover. And, if you look at the side by side photos, dude still looks like James Bond. So,
What a
yeah.
tan.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, I throw that one out the window. That was a wardrobe and makeup company fail, if anything. But I have no problem with the um, the movie or anything like that. So that kind of thing, when it comes to Hollywood and race,
And some of these
it's
other ones I haven't
understandable.
noticed, like the Scarlett Johansson one. I don't remember that.
The
And
movie
then,
didn't do
and
very
then the,
well, and I get that. People
and
were,
then I don't understand number 11 at all.
who is that again?
The chick from Doctor Strange, the one that gave
Oh,
Doctor Strange the powers. It says she played a
yeah.
Tibetan man. I never thought she was a man in that movie.
No, she's made to play a woman. I think what Marvel was doing,
No,
what Kevin,
it
well,
says right here
in the
she's
comics,
portrayed as a Tibetan man. Yeah.
yeah, in the movie they switched it up. They wanted it to be a woman to throw everybody off. I forget what Kevin Feige's reasoning behind it was, and he did go on to say that if he had to do it all over again, he probably wouldn't have done that. I didn't have a problem with her being the what do you call
The
the
chosen one,
chosen one? Thank
ancient
you,
one, or
the
whatever.
ancient one. Thank you. I didn't have a problem with that. I mean, a lot of
I'm
times you see gender swapping on certain TV shows and movies that are remade. I have no problem with it. No problem with it if it's done
I
right.
guess I guess my thing with that movie was is I never put race in the equation because all of the people with powers like that weren't of the same race. You had
Right.
I forget how to say the guy's name, but the black dude in the movie.
Is it
Uh,
Mordor or Mordrew?
well, I
I
mean
don't.
his real
Oh,
name is some weird name
the
like Chicky something or other. It's a weird name.
yeah.
But he was, he's not white, black, or I mean, he's not white, he's not Asian, he's a black dude, and then you've got all these other characters. So I didn't assume it as a particular race that had those powers or believed in whatever, protecting the stones or whatever. I didn't see it that way.
I'm in total agreement with you. I kind of, if it's portrayed blatantly to go over the line, like the one pretending to be Michael Jackson, just taking it too far. Um, I get that, but a lot of these, no, I'm
Well,
totally good with. And you are right. Our generation has much thicker skin.
granted, and I think the whole term, if I'm not mistaken, blackface would be um, where you are actually making fun of particular, because the original term was white people acting like a Sambo on stage,
Yes.
to get make people laugh. Um,
Now that is not cool.
no, not at all. But that's what I consider blackface.
Yeah,
The
that's what
actual
I consider
term.
too. But people
I
are,
mean, but there's plenty others on here that weren't said. What about Al Pacino playing, Tony Montana? One of the in the great movie Scarface. It's just and every
yeah,
other character that played a Hispanic character in that movie that was stone cold white. You know what I'm just saying?
right.
So, it was just the time, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it, it's so hard to put it into words because you see both sides of it. You hear about people saying, "Well, why can't they get this person?" First thing you got to do is be prepared to name somebody who would fill the role exactly to those specifications. Secondly, you got to be in the producers and the movie studios' shoes because their job is to make money. So they are going to go for the biggest name that they can. I get that. Now, we've got a lot more latitude nowadays than we did, even 10, 15 years ago because
Right.
we just have more actors from different places that can do the same thing. But most of these that we looked at are 10 years old or older as far as the movies. So
Right.
we just got to all have thicker skins and be a lot more understanding of certain things.
Now, who was the last cat that played Superman?
The last Superman was Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill. Now, this is
Yes.
where I draw the line. If Henry Cavill becomes the next Black Panther, we've got an issue. Other than that,
I can't see the
I
Cavalry
could
playing
tolerate.
Black Panther.
Hey, you never know. Always in the, he never comes out the mask.
Here's my thing though. For a minute before the James Gunn Superman was being made, and they were searching for somebody, there was something saying that Michael B. Jordan could be the next Superman. I wouldn't like that.
Yes, I would because he would be the Superman from the alternate Earth. Like Earth, I think would be like Earth 255, I think who it is. And his name isn't Clark. It's something, it's not Kal-El, it's something
If
else.
they go with that, I get it. Kind of like Miles Morales is Spider-Man, just from a different not dimension, but a different reality. So I
But
get that.
he's not from a different reality. He's from Peter Parker's same reality. The Tom Holland Peter Parker, he's from that same reality. His name is just Miles Morales. He was just also bitten by a spider.
Mm.
It's not an alternate. There's a bunch of alternate Earths, especially in the in the Flash comics. You know, he's always bouncing back from one Earth to the other Earth, and that's where he sees. It's just like in the movie Flash that came out not too long ago, where Michael Keaton portrayed Batman. He's on an alternate Earth where Michael Keaton is Batman, versus at the very beginning Ben Affleck was Batman, and by the
Versus
end of
at the
that
very
movie
end, yeah,
Clooney was
George
Batman,
Clooney. Yeah,
right? And there was no Superman, there was Superwoman.
true.
So it's the same. So I could see that if they would have did the storyline, not actually picking it up from Henry Cavill, obviously. And I hope that they still do that. Just like there's a Black Green Lantern. So hopefully
Yes.
they do that as well.
Um, do you feel that there's still a huge divide as far as racism in Hollywood?
Oh yeah. I mean, in the world in general, it leaks into everything, unfortunately.
I do too, but I want to say this. I don't feel that it's in the movies themselves. It is in the quality of characters in movies. There aren't, to me, enough parts written for people of color.
I think
I
the
don't
racism
want
is,
I don't want people of color taking a part that has been for years and years written and known as a white person. We don't need that. We need more parts written for other people of color. Um, we got to, and that's a problem. The biggest problem I've ever had with Hollywood. We keep rehashing the same things,
oh
you
yeah.
know. And
And I think in Hollywood, the racism is different versus color of the skin versus uh, perpetrating uh, what myths or um, what's the
yeah,
word I'm looking
yeah,
for?
because when you see a movie with most black people in it, the stereotypical black guy's got his pants
Stereotype. That's the word
hanging.
I was looking
Yeah,
for.
got his pants
Stereotype.
hanging, hat to the back, and he speaks broken English. That's not the typical
Well,
black
not
man.
always, and not always that either, but like,
Well, it's gotten
um,
better, but you still
well,
see it.
no, I mean, I'm not necessarily talking about that because sometimes the role needs to be that role. But like, this is probably where I'm going to step on some toes, but fuck it, it's our show. I don't care. Um, it's kind of like, and where I don't like it is where they perpetrate or they try to demasculine black men to America. You know, they make a lot of them gay. They
Yes.
make the black women overly aggressive.
Yes.
Um, yes, there are overly aggressive black women in the world. Yes, there are gay black men in the world. But there are also overly aggressive white women in the world, and there are gay white men in the world. But it seems like on most of the uh, popular movies and characters that they show, they always have to try to uh, make the masculinity of the black man not strong, like it's a weaker um, section, and it's not. And until America sees that differently, nothing's going to change.
Now, we've talked about black men and women. That's a perfect bridge talking about women. Do you think that there's sexism at such a high
As
rate
long,
still?
yes, yeah, as long as women have a vagina and tits, there's going to be sexism. It just that's just how it's going to be, and women will use that to get ahead. Let's look at Joy from FS1, Joy Taylor, and all that
Mm-hmm.
crap that's going out. And I mean, you heard about all that ish stuff going out, right?
No, do tell.
Oh, so you haven't heard.
I
So
have not paid
there's
attention.
a there is a Russian woman that used to do makeup and hair for the people on the FS1 sports shows. You know, originally it was Skip and Shannon, and then you had Speak and
Yeah.
Emmanuel Acho, and all them guys were in there. Well, evidently she has filed a multi-million-dollar lawsuit suing Skip Bayless for sexual harassment. He offered to pay her $1.25 million dollars to sleep with her.
Mm.
She was a friend with Joy Taylor, but has firsthand knowledge of Joy sleeping with the head of FS1 to get her part on to host Skip and Shannon. And then she also
Wow.
has first hand knowledge and proof that she slept with Emmanuel Acho to be guest host on Speak for Yourself and all this other stuff. While she was married, she was doing all this. She got divorced, slept her way, and then the girl was basically telling her, "You shouldn't do this." And she's like, "Don't worry. As soon as he tries to pull the rug out from me, I will sue him because and say that he forced me to have sex with him to get my position." And all that other stuff. And that's a huge lawsuit going on right now between all of them. You should look it up. It's very interesting.
I will
Very
definitely
interesting.
do that. I didn't realize it was that kind of drama going on behind the Fox Sports scene.
Yes, but unfortunately, when I go back to that, that's what women, unfortunately, some women, not all, don't get me wrong, there are women that will use that to, and there are men that will allow themselves to be used,
Yes.
and then also try to prey on the opposite sex as well. Well,
Yeah.
hell,
And
look at P. Diddy. He didn't just do it on the opposite sex; he did it on the same sex.
yeah, I don't even want to talk about him. That's a disgrace. That's a disgrace to all people right there. You know, as we wrap this up, just talking about black and white men and women, what about sexuality itself? Do you feel that there is enough people of different sexual origins, orientations? Um, Before you answer that, to me, I'm going to say this is overdone. Going back to the gay thing, every show now has to have a gay person. Really? When did that get mandated? Why? I mean, I have no problem with people who like other people of the same sex. That's your business. But one thing I don't need is to have every single show represent every single person. It's not like that everywhere. If I'm making a story that takes place in deep in the country, we'll say Nashville, how many black people should be on that show? Yes, I know there are black people that live in Tennessee, but if we're talking about a Nashville music thing, probably not
It
very
depends who
many.
you. It depends who you're talking about. Are you talking about Charlie Pride? Is it his biopic? There
Well,
should be
then
some black folks in
it's
that show.
yeah, it should be some black folks in there. But
You
if I'm
know,
gonna let's just say I'm gonna make the
are you
Carrie
talking
Underwood
about?
story.
Are you talking about Civil War in Nashville? There should
Uh,
probably be some black folks too, but it's going
yeah,
to be on the opposite side of the spectrum.
right.
Right. My thing with, you're talking about sexuality is, yes, I think it's being force fed
Yes.
to the populace so that we can all be accepting of it. And I'm at the age where I don't care what your sexual preference is.
Right.
I don't care what your pronouns are. You can call yourself a lamp and stick a light bulb up your ass and be happy. The problem is I don't have to agree or believe what you believe. And that's the beauty of this country. So, um, I don't care that it's out there, but I don't have to agree or believe. To each its own. Some people don't like black-eyed peas and cornbread. I love black-eyed peas and cornbread. So, everybody has a different taste.
Yeah, and nobody's saying that you don't have to have people represented in most shows, but your gay person doesn't have to be blatantly gay. Your black
Right.
person doesn't have to be from the hood, unless it calls for that part. Um,
Because see, and this is where Hollywood is let's just say they create a movie about the Wolf Pack. You, me, Nifty, James, Van, you know, in Hollywood, one of us would have to be gay, but none of us are.
yeah, that would be epic fail, and I would have to end up suing some people.
I mean, I'm just saying,
Yeah,
in Hollywood, that would, if it was, a fictional show about our characters, that's one of us would have to be gay. And I'd have to be the token white boy. I'd be Tommy from Power. That's what it would be.
oh, that would be an interesting show, though. It would, because uh America, if you only knew, we got some stories to tell.
We're called the Wolf Pack for a reason.
There you go. So before we wrap this up, I just want to ask everybody, what is your feeling on racism and sexism in Hollywood? I want to know what you think. You can write us if you want to email us at the slightly warped podcast at yahoo.com. If you're watching this on YouTube, jump in them comments. They right there for you. Uh, I read everything. So let me know if you agree with us, if you disagree with us, if you just have a different or alternate take, that's cool too. If you're on one of the podcast feeds, a lot of the podcast feeds have spots where you can drop comments too, and we'll be able to check those out. And while you're in there, let us know what you want to see in the future, because we love talking about things. And hell, I learned something new today. I'm gonna be doing some reading about this whole FS1 thing after the show. This should be interesting.
Yeah.
um Before we close out, though, I do want to talk about the National Football League, because we just had our divisional round, and we are now at the championship games, the AFC championship and the NFC championship. All right, Washington, the Commanders, man, they've surprised the hell out of me, and they're going to be playing the Eagles in Philadelphia. Who you got in that game?
I'm gonna pick Washington for the upset again. I picked them last week. I'm gonna pick them again. I just think they match up well with Philly. Now, it's going to be a dogfight because both teams know each other. This is the third time that they play each other this year. Um, I'm more worried about Hurts' knee because I know he hurt his knee at the end of the game. But
Yeah.
there's just some. It's like Washington's a team of destiny to get there. It just, either way, whoever wins this game, this is going to be their last win of the year. So, they're just basically sacrificing themselves for the final match. But
This
it
is
is
one
what
of
it
those
is.
games
But I'm
where
picking Washington.
I've, throughout the year, when I'm just like stuck in the middle, don't know which way to go, I always default to the home team.
Same.
So I'm gonna go with Philly on this, because I can see both teams winning. Wouldn't be surprised if one won over the other. I agree with you. It's gonna be a dogfight, but I think Philly's gonna eke it out. that tush push is going to come in handy at some point, whether it be
Not
for
if
first down or touchdown.
not if Hurts' knee ain't working because they stopped doing the tush push at the end of that game, and that's why they almost lost to the Rams.
That is also true. Now, in the AFC Championship game, you could mention either team as a team of destiny for different reasons. You got the Chiefs versus the Bills. They always have some epic games. Um, I already know, but I'm going to ask you anyway for America's purposes. Who you got?
Kansas City.
That yeah, everybody at home's like, duh.
You say,
If you
you know,
followed this show
Buffalo's.
forever, you know that was coming out of his mouth.
You say Buffalo is a team of destiny. I mean, you're right. What other team has lost four straight important games? I mean, this will be their fourth straight, you know. So um, I suspect, you know, granted, let's go back to week 11 or when it was when Buffalo pretty much gave us our first loss of the year. Well, our only loss of the year with the starters. Um,
Before you do that, I want to take us back there too, because the first thing that I said on the show after that game was I feel like Kansas City was basically just feeling out Buffalo, seeing what they could throw at them. And now Kansas City's going to be ready for it.
I agree to a certain point. I do agree. But you know, Buffalo did wax that ass. You know, they did punish us in that game, and they were upset because we knocked them out of the divisional game last year on their home turf. So I get it. Now turnabout's fair play. We're about to uh, payback's a bitch. Basically, is what it's going to boil down to. We're going to make um, Allen cry on the sideline again. It's going to happen. Just too bad Stephon Diggs isn't there to cry too.
That is true. Diggsy had his chance with his team. So,
No, he didn't. He'd been hurt.
well, that's true.
He was hurt.
He didn't see the
He was hurt
field,
in the
but
middle of the year, and he wasn't. Otherwise,
well,
he'd have played last week because he was with
judging
Houston.
from that game though, it would have been the same result,
Maybe,
maybe.
but it
Um,
doesn't matter. I think we're gonna go back and you know saying that we do win. I'm actually. I think I would be nervous if we had to play Washington for the Super Bowl. I would be a little bit more at ease if we had to play Philadelphia.
I think that it's going to be a Kansas City Philadelphia Super Bowl. And I think the same way Kansas City beat up on San Francisco 2 times in the Super Bowl, they're going to, I won't say shock anybody because it won't be a shock. They're going to beat Philadelphia for the second time in the Super Bowl.
I'm okay with that. I'm definitely all right with that.
Yeah. And if it were Washington, I would think it would be an even closer uh, game. I still think Kansas City's going to win. They're going to be the first team in NFL history to three-peat. Um, I think it's going to be like a 27-20 game against Philly.
For who against the Chiefs and
Yeah,
the Eagles?
yeah, the Chiefs and the
Yeah, I'm.
Eagles.
Well, I'm not going to pick that until after the games because you don't know who's going to be playing and who's not. So, you
Okay,
know,
well
player wise,
we'll
everybody's
talk
hurt.
scores.
So,
We'll talk score predictions next week. But but
but
but we're
uh,
both in agreement that Kansas City will advance in the AFC title game.
and I was telling my other buddies in my Chiefs group is, man, I just want one year like the playoff game and the Super Bowl where we pull off some 1994 49er versus Charger bullshit or some 1991 Dallas at Buffalo. You know, 51 to 3,
So
49 to
you want a
14.
blowout
I
to
just
solidify.
I am tired of biting my fingernails on every freaking Chiefs football game. I'm I have more gray hairs being a Chiefs fan in the last few years than I've had when I knew that they weren't going to be past the wild card round. It's
Here's
so
my thing,
frustrating.
and I'm not a Chiefs fan, you know that, but
You are.
I wouldn't mind them blowing somebody out just so that we can stop hearing this one possession win game thing. And I don't want it to come down to any penalties. Period. That way we don't have to hear about, well, it was the refs, you know.
We're gonna
Just
hear
beat the
about
hell
that
out of
anyway.
somebody and and let that be that. Now,
I mean, with the whole ref thing, yeah, it was the ref's fault that Stroud got sacked 8 times. Them damn refs sacking Stroud, that type of stuff. Yeah, but was those penalties questionable? The flop on the sideline, I could
now
do without that.
the
The
outcome would have not
the
changed. The outcome would not have
yeah,
changed. I didn't
the
like
the
those calls. The only thing that stood out to me though was Patrick Mahomes' flop.
that's
Uh
what I said. The flop on the sideline, I could have done without that.
yeah,
But
that pissed me off because it's like, hey, I'm looking for this to happen. Just play the game. Get out of bounds with your head still attached and live to play another down.
spoken like a true fan of a losing team. But when I say that, the Will Anderson roughing the passer, he did hit him in his helmet. So letter of the law. I mean, was it a hard hit? No. But a lot of people are upset with the one where he ran and then the two guys fell on him and the second guy kind of forearmed him in the head and they said, well, he was a runner, so he shouldn't be protected. They didn't call roughing the passer on that play. They called unsportsmanlike conduct. There is a difference. And I think the crowd thinks just because he was a quarterback in the run and it was a 15-yard penalty that it was roughing the passer. It wasn't. If that was uh, Kareem Hunt running the ball and they did the same thing, he'd have got the same penalty.
Do you think because it's Patrick Mahomes though that that's why people are down on it? Because I think if it was, any other QB, this probably wouldn't be, talk show talk.
If it was any other quarterback besides Patrick Mahomes that has won so much so fast in his career, no, it wouldn't be a top at all. Tom Brady, we bitched about the same shit with Tom Brady,
That's where I was going
you
with that.
know?
Yeah. I
I
think
mean,
that,
I remember being one of those fans yelling in the 2018 AFC Championship game when they called Chris Jones for roughing the passer penalty because they said they hit Brady in the head and he hit him on the shoulder pad. So I was one of those fans that was complaining about the rest. But, until my quarterback deflates some footballs or we get caught videotaping some shit on the sideline, I don't want to hear nobody's mess. Complain to your mama. That's how I feel.
all right. Word from Big Show. All right. Get back with us next week. We're going to have plenty more coming to you. Appreciate you guys. Like, share, subscribe, especially if you're on YouTube. We want to see the numbers grow. And show, take us on out of here.
All right. And if Philadelphia's in that bowl versus Kansas City, Nelson, I expect you to be on this show. I'm calling you out.
Calling you out,
Th-
Nelson.
Thank y'all for watching. We'll see y'all next week. Love each other. Tomorrow's not promised. Hit the like button,
Have a good
subscribe
night.
button.